You've been taught to hold on. Since you were young, you were told that love means holding tighter, doing more, giving endlessly until there's nothing left. You were taught that sacrifice is noble, that losing yourself in someone else is romantic, that suffering is the price you pay for a connection that feels like home. But let me ask you something brutal. When did love become a negotiation with your own soul? You've mistaken fear for love. Fear of being alone, fear of not being enough, fear of not being chosen, disguised as passion, disguised as commitment. But what if I told you that the very thing you're calling love is the same thing that's been draining you, breaking you, erasing you little by little? What if I told you that your attachment is not proof of how deeply you care, but of how deeply you've been wounded? That tightness in your chest, that obsession with their online status, that anxiety when a message goes unanswered. That is not love. That is addiction. It's the high you chase when they validate you. It's the low you sink into when they withdraw. It's emotional dependency dressed up in poetry and promises. Carl Jung said it best. The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is a reaction, both are transformed. But are you transforming, or are you disappearing? Because if you're twisting yourself to be who they need, if you're shrinking your voice, silencing your needs, abandoning your essence just to be chosen, you are not transforming. You are betraying yourself. Here's a truth you're not going to want to hear. You're not in love. You're hooked. You've built your identity around being needed. You've made your peace dependent on their presence. And now, you no longer know where you end and they begin. But let me ask you this. If they left tomorrow, really left, would you still feel like yourself? Or would you crumble like a house built on borrowed bricks? You see, real love is not about possession. It's not about control. It's not about being everything for someone who barely sees you. Real love is freedom. Real love breathes. Real love expands you, not cages you. The kind of love you deserve doesn't ask you to bleed for affection or beg for attention. It doesn't require you to play small or trade your voice for temporary safety. It doesn't demand that you prove your worth just to be held, but I get it. Attachment is familiar. It gives you something to hold on to, even if it burns. And letting go, that feels like death. Because for so long, this person has been your anchor, even if they dragged you to the bottom. But here's what no one tells you. Detachment is not coldness. It is self-respect. It is not giving up on love. It's learning how to love without needing. It's looking in the mirror and saying, I exist even without you. I matter even when I'm alone. Yeah, and yes, it's going to hurt. Letting go of someone who's occupied your mind, your heart, your very identity. It feels like peeling away your own skin. But that pain, that's not your end. It's your rebirth. Because when you detach, you are not closing your heart. You are finally opening it to yourself. You're finally learning that you don't have to earn love. You don't have to morph into someone else to be worthy. You don't have to carry the emotional weight of someone who refuses to carry their own. And slowly, day by day, you begin to reclaim the parts of you that you abandoned. The laughter, the creativity, the peace, because they never completed you. They just distracted you from the truth you were afraid to face. You were already whole. You don't need saving. You need remembering. You need to remember the girl who danced before she was watched, the boy who spoke before he was silenced, the soul who existed before the fear took root. So now I ask you, what are you still clinging to? Is it the person? Or the illusion? Or maybe it's the idea that if you let go, you'll be left with nothing. But nothing is not the end. Sometimes it's where everything begins. And that's where the real work begins. Because once you faced the emptiness, stood still in it, felt the silence you were once terrified of, something unexpected happens. You don't crumble, you breathe, not because the pain is gone, but because for the first time, it's your own breath, not someone else's presence keeping you alive. And in that breath, something shifts. You begin to notice the shadow, your shadow. All the parts of you you've denied, repressed, buried beneath years of trying to be lovable. The anger you never showed, the grief you never named, the needs you were told made you too much. You see, attachment isn't just about another person, it's about the version of you you've abandoned to keep them. Carl Jung called it the shadow, the unloved self. And until you meet it, you'll keep choosing people who reflect it. People who ignore you, abandon you, make you feel unworthy, not because they're cruel, but because they mirror what you secretly believe about yourself. That's why detachment isn't just about leaving someone. It's about meeting yourself. It's sitting with the truth. You edited yourself to be accepted. You shrank your light to avoid rejection. You loved from fear, not from freedom. And now it's time to unlearn all of it. Because real healing is not loud. It doesn't always look like running barefoot on beaches or shouting affirmations in the mirror. Sometimes healing is quietly unsubscribing from the belief that you must earn love. Sometimes it's drinking your morning coffee in peace and realizing you no longer check your phone for their name. Sometimes it's looking in the mirror and seeing someone you actually like. Not because they're perfect, but because they're real. And this is where love changes. Because once you've stopped needing someone to fix your wounds, you stop confusing chaos with chemistry. You stop mistaking intensity for intimacy. You stop romanticizing the person who made you feel like love was a war zone. Instead, you begin to recognize love in the calm, in the consistency, in the way someone listens, respects, stays. And even more than that, you begin to recognize love in yourself, in your boundaries, in your standards, in your refusal to chase what costs your peace. Now, here's something no one tells you. Healing will make you lose people. When you stop begging, when you stop twisting yourself to be enough, when you stop playing small, some people will leave. Let them. Because anyone who only loved the version of you that bled for them was never loving you in the first place. They were loving their control, their comfort, their illusion. You are not here to be someone's emotional crutch. You are here to be whole. And sometimes choosing your wholeness means walking away from what once felt like home. Even when it hurts, especially when it hurts. Because that pain, it's not punishment. It's purification. It's your soul shedding all the false beliefs it carried just to survive. And after the pain comes clarity. A clarity so brutal it softens you. Because now you no longer love from hunger. You love from fullness. You no longer search for someone to complete you. You are already complete. And you simply wish to share the overflow. You no longer chase love. You become love. You embody it in your words, your silence, your boundaries, your presence. And suddenly you no longer tolerate crumbs. You no longer cling to someone who cannot meet you. You no longer abandon yourself just to be chosen. Because now you choose you. That is the essence of conscious detachment. Not distance, not coldness, not numbness, but devotion to your truth, your healing, your peace. And the ones meant for you, they will not fear your freedom. They will not shrink in the presence of your wholeness. They will not run from your light. They will meet you there, in the calm, in the clarity, in the love that liberates, not binds. So let go. Not because you've stopped caring, but because you've started remembering who you are. Let go knowing that what you release with love never leaves a scar. Let go not with bitterness, but with reverence. Because this isn't just goodbye to someone else, it's hello to yourself. You are not broken, you are becoming, and what's meant for you will never require you to betray yourself to keep it. So, one more time, say it, out loud, if you can. I choose my peace over fear. Every day, every time. No exceptions. Because now you know, now you see. And once you've seen the truth, there's no going back, only forward to yourself.